We are back. So excited to see everyone that's coming in to this session. I'm going to give it just a few moments because I see we have a lot of people joining us who took some amazing takeaways from Christmas session. He was absolutely phenomenal. But we have two amazing and equally phenomenal women with us here today. So in this session, we're going to hear from Renee Funk, co-founder of the Funk Collection real estate team in Orlando, Florida, sponsor of the Orlando Magic, and an Inman ambassador. Renee will talk to us today about delivering great customer service in a virtual world. Please welcome Renee Funk and our session moderator, Jennifer Wahab, team leader of the Jennifer Wahab team at Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. Thanks, ladies.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Nicole.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi. So thank you guys for joining us. We are on day 3 of our first ever virtual conference. And one of the great things about this is we have been able to bring you guys the cream of the crop, like really top-notch people from all around the country. And today is no different because we have the fabulous Renee Funk with us. Hi, Renee.
Hey, Jennifer. Hello, fellow realtors in Houston.
Thank you for joining us. And I just want to say before we get started, I love a lively chat box, you guys. So pop in the chat, say hi, tell us if you're an agent, are you a broker, are you on a team, are you a manager, and feel free to ask questions as we go because we want you guys to get as much out of this session as you can that you can take back to your business and help make your business better. And I, for one, have really been looking forward to today's conversation because to me, this is the heart of everything. Talking about customer service, it doesn't matter. Chris told us some great things to say, but it doesn't matter if your customer service isn't good. Your tech, you know, whatever, all your processes, if you can't have good customer service, you're dead in the water. And when you get it right, that's when you have raving fans and repeat business and referrals. And Renee, I love that you're going to talk to us about this today because you have kind of an interesting perspective on customer service based on your background. So why don't you kind of tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you to everyone joining us today. I'm so incredibly excited to share some conversation. I agree with Jennifer, by the way. We love a lively chat box. So this is conversation. We would like you to share your questions. Have you had a customer service challenge? Have you had a customer service win or success? Or do you have questions? Drop it into the chat and we'll be following along throughout the session. As we start off, just for some context, we titled this session, Customer Service in a Virtual World. Very interesting that we find ourselves in 2020, quite frankly. Aren't we all a virtual world now? And so one of the things that we focused on in our real estate team in Orlando is the continual marriage between being very technologically forward, but never losing sight of the old-fashioned, as it may sound, customer service skills. Jennifer, I'm curious, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have one little nugget or do you have one little challenge that you might kick off the chat box and share that we can start talking about today?
I do. So I will say as, I'm still an agent too, working with customers. And if there's something that I'm always striving to improve our level of customer service on our team and what else can we do? What else can we add? But I think personally, one of the things that a lot of agents struggle with is consistency. There are some transactions where I'm like, I killed it. Like I did a great job for those people. I took great care of them. And then there may be another transaction where I'm like, you know what? Like I could have done better on that one. Maybe I just had a lot going on at the moment. So I didn't have enough time, and attention to give that client, or there was stuff going on in personal life. So giving every person the same level of customer service, I would say is a challenge for me. Do you have any tips for that or any advice?
One of the really important things to remember is that customer service is a mindset. This is a way of life. If we continue to focus on ways that we can provide stellar customer service, then we are going to outshine our competitors. One of the ways that I've remained focused in the customer service mindset is to consider myself two things. Number one is a forever student as a consumer who will absorb the service that I'm receiving and take note. So when you're out and about, whether it's your car dealership, a restaurant, whether it's any service provider, your hair salon, your nail salon, you name it, anytime you're a consumer, even in a digital world, pay attention to the cues, pay attention to how it's making you feel. Is the service that you're receiving as a consumer providing you good feelings? Is it providing you challenging feelings? Are you frustrated? And then ask yourself, this is where the student part comes in, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Because service transcends every industry. The industry, quite frankly, is irrelevant. If we continually pay attention when we're the consumer and we consider ourselves a student, then we will be able to identify which brands, which service providers make us feel a certain way. Then we can either avoid those approaches or perhaps integrate them into our service that we're providing. The second thing that's so incredibly important is be a practitioner. So once you are, I like to think of it as the data collector as a consumer, taking notes to how service is making you feel. Now roll that out and actually be a practitioner as a realtor. What I can assure you is for the realtors who stay customer service focused in their business, you stand out in the crowd like none other. Jennifer, you're spot on about the raving fans. Are we all just after making sure that we love on our customers so we create raving fans, right?
Yeah, and you're so right. Agents, we hate being marketed to, we hate getting spam email from companies, you know, and then we turn around and we'll do the exact same thing that we don't like. So pay attention to what you respond to well as a consumer, and then try to think, oh, how could I put this into my business? That's a great tip. I saw some people commenting over in the chat, follow-up. I mean, we all know agents aren't great at follow-up anyway. So just following up in general would be a good thing. But what about using follow-up in the customer service realm?
So in the customer service realm, there is definitely room for us all to stay focused on the customer acquisition side. So the time from which you first procure the contact, whether it's online lead generation, door knocking, whether you are a sphere of influence, referral-based business, the sources are irrelevant to this topic. All sources incoming, we have to pay attention to the customer acquisition service that allows us to, and this is very important, if you're typing, take this note. If you're writing, write this down. We must serve, not sell. We have to be in the mentality that this is not short game focus. This is not mechanical. This is not going to be something that we're used to transacting. Transacting for us comes very natural, right? It's something that we do every day. We have to stay focused that we serve, not sell, because we have to remember every day that it has to remain a humanized process. So if we earn the relationships of our customers in that customer acquisition phase, what happens is from the time that we close, because Jennifer, you're mentioning realtors forget to follow up, but we're awful at following up. You couldn't be more true. You know where the magic happens with customer service in our industry? In the realtors who go the extra mile from post-close year after year after year. So the magic in the service happens by having a plan in place after we close. If we're transactionally mindset, then we're thinking about our next transaction. But the reality is, if we think retention, if we think providing service really for me starts the day we close, then you will create a raving fan for the rest of your life, for the rest of your career, which will have a cascading effect that we all seek as realtors. We want our previous customers to refer new business to us. So the magic is post-close, year after year after year.
So good. I hope you guys wrote that down. Serve, not sell. I mean, that's a golden nugget right there. And you're so right. I love, we had a training one time where they were talking about at closing, you tell your clients, this is the beginning of our relationship. Now you need to remodel something. I'm your go-to person. You call me, I will give you a contact. You want to know what your equity is in your home? You call me. You need to protest your taxes. you call me, really setting the stage right there that, hey, like we're together now for life. So I love that. You and I, we had a quick little chat before this call, and you said something that I loved and I would love for you to talk about and expand on. First of all, you said you and your team, you don't call them leads. What do you call them?
Customer inquiries.
There you go. And you talked about we're not talking about conversion, converting leads. You were talking about earning the relationship. Can you tell us a little more about that?
I can. And first I have to give hats off because I'm inspired by so many other great sales professionals and legendary leaders and mentors we've had. Some of those who have inspired me are the Tom Hopkins, the true leaders who look at service as the first point in our business. We're service providers, and then how we choose to use that service we provide to earn an income is the second portion of the relationships we earn. So as I was mentioning earlier, what the lead source is irrelevant. One of the beautiful things about real estate, as you all know, is we can choose whatever path we like. Some agents might find success in online lead conversion. My team and I have built a business on online lead conversion since 2007. We're very passionate about that. The difference is, however, regardless of wherever that point of contact was sourced, if we think of it as, again, a human contact, a customer inquiry, someone who has taken the time, taken the moment to actually reach out and raise their hand and say, I have a question. It is so critically important to recognize how important that moment is, because that is the moment that the door opens, opportunities knocked, and the agent can make a decision to ask the right questions. We like to say open-ended questions win. Chris Smith was on earlier with Nicole, right? If you were all taking really great notes, did you notice how many times Chris mentioned open-ended questions? He's spot on. When we ask open-ended questions, and we're focused on who the family is, what their goals are, what their needs are, what does the next chapter in their book look like, where they love drinking coffee on Sunday at 10 a.m., what they love doing Friday at 7 p.m., the true goals, then the agent is able to earn the relationship, which is more enriching. And that is where the magic happens again, because if we understand who the individual customer is, we can cater the service that we provide to their needs, their likes, and even their passions. Because if I have a customer who loves golfing, you can bet I'm going to pay attention to that customer's love for golf and make sure that some of the maybe magical moments we provide are golf oriented. Maybe we send something that suits their passion and their needs as surprise magical moments.
I love that. To get them talking about things other than real estate. That's really where you can dig in and lock into them. So I love that. Let's talk a little bit about, the concept of today's session is customer service in a virtual world. So, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, here we are in a virtual setting today. I think at the end of the day, customer service is really all the same. It's about, making sure what was their experience like. But talk a little bit about, has your team changed anything since we couldn't be together in person?
Well, on the business operation side, we have not. We are running in a virtual world previous to COVID. We have cloud-based office. So internally, business operationally, we've been running the same in the last 6 months as we were previous to COVID, and we're grateful for that. But like all others across the globe, we did have to wake up in March and be consumer focused, customer focused to the sensitivities that the consumer would have and need and their concerns. And through that, as we are talking about customer service, one of our focuses was, and I should preface to say, in Orlando, where we were deemed essential throughout the entire pandemic. So we never had the restrictions that my heart was breaking for so many other regions that you all just could not get out and sell. We were able to. And so when we were analyzing the way we would serve our customers, even on that mid-March day when we woke up and realized things had changed, one of the first things we collaborated on is, how will we make sure that we communicate to our customers we have a plan? We have a plan to make sure whether you're a buyer or a seller who chooses to work with the Funk collection, we have service points in place to help ease that bottleneck of, well, I'm a buyer and I don't necessarily want to go view the home because I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to like it. So one of the things we implemented right away were video showings. We made sure that our buyers felt a little bit like the way we served our sellers. We always do videos. We do 360 videos for our sellers. And we started offering that service to our buyers to say, let's make sure you really love this home. I am happy to go out and provide a video showing. And at times we even did 360 showings with our 360 cameras to make sure before you come out with your family, we've really checked all the boxes that this is indeed a home that you would like to see. So it then gave them the opportunity to be deeper in the funnel and only come out when they knew this was probably going to be in one of their top 3 selections. So by thinking outside of the box and realizing that the buyers were feeling some angst, feeling some concern, we were able to put that into place right away, providing a service, which really helped our agents as well.
What about the listing side?
So on the listing side, as far as service was concerned, is we just made sure, number one, communication is key. And when we're talking about customer service, we're talking about communication, communication, communication. Some of our sellers were not comfortable, and that was okay. We had already made sure that we had all of the 360s done on their properties, and all of the data that we could procure from a listing, we had it available so that it was completely covered. What we realized very soon for our sellers that maybe didn't want to have the same amount of traffic was that by providing the service that every square inch of that home was covered either through the videos, the 360s, we were doing 360 live videos on our social media. What happened then is we were seeing that we would normally have, say, 20 showings on a property, and we were reducing that to 3 before we went to contract. So thinking outside the box, once again, we were able to then leverage technology, communicating with our sellers, providing a service, and everyone came together with the end result, which is getting them to the closing table.
Awesome. I see some people asking over in the chat about community involvement. Can you talk a little bit about how you and your team are involved in your community and how that is translated into your business?
Absolutely. Being involved in your community is critical, and I'm so glad that you all are asking that. I feel realtors, we either have the opportunity to become, or many realtors who are very successful have already fine-tuned the skill set of being a mayor of their town. Being the mayor of your town, one example would be even what Jennifer had mentioned earlier is when we can have an open dialogue with our customers that is not necessarily wrapped around real estate. Most of our customers, when we're in communication with them, we're talking about, to Jennifer's point, I want to be your point of reference for everything. Do you need a hotel recommendation? Do you need someone from our vendor list? I want to be the go-to for all things Orlando. And so another extension of that we've really poured into is being a mayor of our town, being that connector, and of course, giving back. We're very, very focused on giving back. During the pandemic, it has been challenging because, of course, we haven't been able to do our typical events, but we are doing a Giving Back Community Day coming up on October 6th. It's our first one that our team is getting together to give back to a local charity that we are passionate about. And this really then becomes all the spokes in the wheel. We're the connectors. We want to be that point of resource for our customers, always providing services far outside real estate. It's so much more than real estate. And then when we bring in the community philanthropy aspect into the full circle, it really then solidifies our position as a community mayor of our town.
And I think people can sense too, like you need to do it with, you talked about serving earlier, you need to do it with a servant's heart. Because I think people can sense when you're just there for business, you know, so you really need to be genuine about it. Pick a cause that you care about, you know, something that you actually want to be involved in, not something where I'm just here to see if I can get clients. Don't you agree?
You're spot on. In our case, we have put a lot of care and attention into a local charity here in Orlando, but recently we've been communicating on our team as we're starting to acclimate out and do more in the field, that we're going to have our team members each pick a charity so that they're able to choose the charity that speaks to them. And that continues to number one, help us culturally as a team, but cascade the effect out into the charities that are super important to our team members, which are far outreaching than even just the one that maybe speaks to my heart.
I love that. That's a great tip. If you are a team leader or a manager, I hope you heard that, because that's a great way to really get your team involved and do it in a way that's important to them. So we've talked about what you should do. I always love asking, what shouldn't you do? What are agents getting wrong when it comes to customer service?
A lot of customer service, as I mentioned earlier, is a mindset. And when we are focused on truly serving, our verbiage that we use, our vocabulary can make or break us. One of the things that we talk about a lot on our team, and I do a weekly call that we go over scripting, but let me just share with you, this girl's not a scripter like most of you probably think and have that weird feel when we use that word. I'm not a scripter. We focus on asking the right questions, open-ended, and taking those questions, putting them in our pocket, almost like a tool belt, that we have all the tools that we know how to further enrich the relationship. So a huge focus has to be around continuing to know the right questions to ask. And one of the things that we notice a lot on the calls that the agents make, or even when I see agents sometimes out with their social media, is the presentation of the verbiage, the no versus yes. And if we have any parents in the audience, I'm not sure if we have any parents, moms and dads, this is for this part of it too, right? Like I have two boys.
I'm happy to take parenting advice as well.
And this is not parenting advice. It's just try this and see how it works in your family. It's the same with work as it is with kids. The no versus yes presentation of verbiage is that you have an option to say, Jennifer, would you like to have this piece of pie, right? And you say, no, I don't want the piece of pie. Well, the difference that you could say instead of no is, I'm not in the mood for pie today. I do not love pie. You take the no out of the equation. So when you're presenting information and you come from the yes, for example, if my child asks me a question and I say, no, you can't do that. What happens when I say, well, we can go to the park tomorrow at 4:00 if you ask me to go to the park today and we can't, rather than saying no, switch the verbiage. Same thing applies with our customers. If a customer in a listing appointment says, I want to list my home at $300,000. And let's say their home, we know, needs to be on the market for $275,000. We could say, no, Mr. Seller, the home needs to be on the market for $275,000. Or we could say, the market is showing homes that are trading between $265,000 and $280,000. So instead of using the no verbiage, if we switch it around and talk about the yes side of the equation or the facts of the equation, the whole dynamic changes. One other thing I see agents do often with this topic is when you pick up the phone and you call a customer or any contact that you have, there's sometimes a nervous tick we do. If I was calling you, Jennifer, and I say, hey, Jennifer, how are you? Did I catch you at a bad time today?
Yeah. Chris mentioned that too. It's now a good time to chat. Stop saying that.
And I didn't catch that part, Chris, but yep, he's spot on too. We can call and say, hey, it's a great day. This is Renee. How are you doing today? And go right into the conversation. We're already setting the mindset up if we say, did we catch at a bad time? Because then the answer is yes, you did.
Exactly. I love that. So if I was like a new agent on your team, or if we wanted to give them something they could go do in their business today that would help them up their customer service game, what would you tell them?
Number one, most important, understand who your customer is. Whether you are reviewing the data for your social media feeds or whether you are just starting the beginning stages of a relationship with any new point of contact, ask the right questions, earn the relationship, understand who they are. We take it very seriously. If we just look at the listing appointment as an example, we take it very seriously when we sit at that kitchen table across from customers who are considering trading the house that has been theirs, that they built the memories in. When you look at the walls, you think, okay, under this roof and in these walls, memories were made. At this kitchen table, memories were made. If we're not careful, we can be very, very transactional. In those moments, pause and ask yourself, what can I ask that will help me better understand who they are and what their needs and what their goals are? Again, in that moment, that helps you understand how to serve them. Remember, we want to serve, not sell, and not be a pitch.
Yeah,
It's the long term. It's the long term versus the short term as well.
Right. So I know that you're very intentional with your words. I've noticed a couple times you don't say selling. Homes are selling at this price, or we're talking about selling your home. I've noticed you said trading. So I assume there's a reason why you do that.
There is. I love wordsmithing. I think I was mentioning earlier in our scripting class, that word I don't love. We talk a lot about the power of words and how simple phrases can shift. One of the things that we have a habit on our team of is we also don't say the price of a home. We say it's the investment. I won't take credit for that. That's a Tom Hopkins thing, but I learned from Tom Hopkins, some of these simple phraseology shifts can change everything. So on our team, we say customer inquiries. On our team, we say, when we're talking to a customer, the investment is $300,000. Well, what about that mortgage down payment? That's a really scary word. Why don't we say initial investment? And to your point, Jennifer, yes, we say trading rather than selling. And then another phrase that we love is when you're driving down the road and you say, I sold that home, I sold that home, I sold that home. What about, I helped a family move into that home, I helped a family acquire that home.
I mean, I can see how that would make a huge difference. There's so much good stuff. I wish that we had more than 30 minutes with you, Renee, but I know I got some takeaways for sure. I hope you guys did too. Thank y'all for joining us today. And I do just want to say, this is our first ever virtual conference. A huge shout out to Lori Carper, all of the ATR staff. They have put so much work into this to get you guys this kind of talent and this kind of knowledge for free that you can do in your house. We thank you guys so much. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Renee. You are awesome.
Reach out anytime. Thank you, Houston.
No problem. And I'm assuming now Nicole is going to take it away.